Hello everyone, welcome back to Joy's JCfinger. This is a speed build for AGNES LENDI'S summer home. She's going to be going away on vacation and it's going to feature in the next episode. So if you've not watched the series, then of course just head over to the Lendi Empire series on the channel. It's in a playlist and you'll be able to watch everything from start to finish, you know, just binge watch all the way up to this point. So I'm building a summer house for her because it's summertime, of course. She's going to be going away on holiday. She works hard, she plays hard, and she has a few homes, doesn't she? I mean, she had the Austrian house, which was quite nice, and it's up in the hills, in the mountains actually, not the hills, and it's quite cold, and it was quite snowed in over the Christmas. If you've not seen the Christmas episode, you want to see that. And now I decided she should have a summer house because for someone like Agnes, she wouldn't stay in a hotel if she has all that money that I claim that she has. So I had to go ahead and build her a summer house. Now, I have practiced building this a couple of times, and each time I attempt it, there's a little change, which is it's just what it is. But I do realize that building it here again on record, there will be further changes to the way it would look, but I'm sort of confident that I'll be happy with the way it's changed. What I found complicated was that each time I tried it again, I got hooked up on the way it looked before, and I started slowing down in the building and getting really pernickety and getting a bit agitated, and you know, I wouldn't just let the creative process flow the second time round and third time round. So I've given that up and I've decided to just flex my fingers and get started on this plot and this house and just hope to see that the finished product is what I'd like. You know, I also have built this on a very big plot, as you can see. Now the reason for this is that I need to be able to see the build while I am building it. The actual plot where it's going to go, and I say that because I'm going to save it to the gallery and then situate it on a much smaller island, and that island has a lot of trees that tuck the house in quite nicely. If I had chosen to build on that plot, the trees would be in the way and I won't be able to see what I'm doing, and certainly you won't be able to see what I'm doing. So I decided to bring it to this big plot that is still on a beach. Well, not necessarily a beach, it's on a hill that overlooks the entire ocean, so that's beautiful. But you can certainly walk your way down to the beach if you want to. That's why I'm building it on this plot, because it's a lot larger and I still want to see it against the ocean while I build and while you're watching. But once I'm done, I will then save and download it to the smaller plot that I have waiting for it. When I started building this summer house, I had this vision of a balcony connected to Agnes's master bedroom overlooking the ocean, and so that was the first part of the house I built, and then everything else sort of came along. And certainly I wanted all these pillars everywhere holding up the top part of the house, because the top part of the house is obviously bigger than the bottom part, so it's been held up. So structurally it's meant to be sound. I'm not an architect or anything, but it just looked nice. To me it did. But this is her master bedroom, and that was the vision I already had. So every other part of the house just had to go along with what I had already put up top here. And then I got stuck into this method of keeping open doors here, as you can see, and I like that look because in reality there are indoor double doors in glamorous homes that stay open. They're not shut. You don't go through them every 5 seconds and you open and close them, and so on. So I got hooked into that and started creating sets of double doors here and there that are actually open. But all I did was just draw walls and then stick glass on them, so they're make-believe doors and they stay open. And they certainly aren't the doors that Sims can just walk right in through from the outside, you know, strangers. That being said, I do have a set of doors downstairs that lead out to the back patio. Right at the back here, I did create those doors that I'm speaking about. This is the second set of doors as you come into the entrance, and then this is the one out back, yes. So I suppose I'm just going to have to click on it and say lock door for everyone but household. So yeah, that's how I basically came up with the idea of the house. It was just that room, the vision of that room overlooking the ocean, and that's what set me off, and there I went building this house. So I'm hoping that you'll enjoy the next episode. It's very interesting. The goal now is to sort of get Agnes to discover that the issue between Nubar and the girl who's now dead has actually been resolved. He was not the person that she thought she saw, you know, in Nubar's yacht. Because she didn't even stop to have a conversation, did she? She just tore away down the street into her car, crying and sobbing until the end of that episode. And she wouldn't hear a word even when he came to see her in Austria and crashed her Christmas party and so on. So my goal now is to try and see if I can repair those bridges and get Agnes to at least be aware that she was wrong, which is going to be a very unusual experience, right? Because she really went to town on him at the Christmas party. So we're going to take it from there and see what happens in the next episode as to whether she's going to do something about the fact that Nubar is, so to say, innocent, and maybe she would still keep to herself. Maybe her sons would insist that she keeps away, because somehow the family is clearly, not somehow, they are clearly a dark family. They've got a lot of issues. They've got a vampire as a brother. They've got a womanizer. They've got Gian, who's a sweet soul. But I have to say that you just keep watching. You never know what Gian's about anyway. But yeah, maybe her son might keep it secret that, you know, Nubar wasn't the culprit. So we'll see what happens in the next episode. That being said, the next episode is basically kicking off from this house. She's going to go on holiday, and she has to, because she's a big girl. She plays hard, she works hard, and she earns a lot of money and is able to have homes all over the world. I'm thinking that this house is in Spain, and she's up on this beautiful hill overlooking the ocean with her own private beach. So I think she will be staying here, maybe with just one member of staff or something, or maybe the whole three, or maybe a couple, who knows. The most important thing is this is where she's holidaying, and I'll make up the story as I go along as to how many people would be in this house or not. But yeah, the brown tones is something that I wanted to stick with, and also bring in some splashes of color because it's at the beach. So I have gone for colors that I'm comfortable with. I love that the kitchen is sectioned off in the middle there. It's just an unusual, different type of house, and it's still very modern, but with little bits and bobs that highlight that it's by the ocean. You know, you've got this beautiful lanterns, we've got these candlelight dividers, and so on, colorful downlights. This room has an interesting color in it, and I'll figure that out later. I wasn't sure if I'd stick with that, but I can't really say until I go back into the house and I'm not recording. You know, under the pressure of recording, you make choices, but later on you slow down and you start to make changes here and there. So, I mean, at the end, there is some photos that show you snapshots of different angles in the house. You're definitely going to see a ton of changes, absolutely. And then when it goes up on the gallery, there'll be more changes. And then during the episode, there will be more changes, even more changes. And that's basically how it works. Think about it. If you went into a new house, or a house was just recently built and you walked in there and it was going to be yours, it's perfect, right? And then you get in there, and when you begin to move around, you know, you get your Sims in there. And I'm not saying you're a Sim, but when you get into the house, you know, after a while of going to and fro, you start to make changes. So when I bring the family over, speaking of Agnes, and start playing around in the house with her, I'm sure that there will be things that I would change completely, because I'd find it, oh, that should be here, or it should be more useful there, or she's standing over there and that wall is completely blank and I've got to do something about that, and so on. It then becomes a more realistic experience of remodeling and redecorating. But no, I'm not remodeling the house at all. I'm just certainly going to add more interior touches here and there. Okay, as usual, this house will be available to download on the gallery when the episode airs. I found that a lot of you really love the McDonald's. There's been a few downloads for that. And I did have fun, building the McDonald's, because it's one of my favorite restaurants with the kids. So yeah, it was nice to see that a lot of you liked the McDonald's build. And this is the thing with these episodes, I love storytelling, but I also absolutely love building. So I find ways to have I make excuses as to why I'm building another house. You know what I mean? Oh, it's the summer house. Oh, it's Christmas, so she's going to their family home. And I don't know, where else is she going to go? But I will always find a reason to build something. And it just allows my creative outlet have a chance to breathe. So I'm quite happy that I had a chance to build this. And maybe next time, maybe in the next episode, I'll build a new restaurant or something. I have to build something. And one way or the other, it's going to be incorporated into the story. And it'll go up on the gallery. And if you like it, you're free to have it. You do what you want with it. But I'm always going to keep building. I always like to put clothes in the closet for her. So, I just want to be able to see it. And I think in the end, I put a mirror at the back and front of this brick half wall. So that way it reflected and had a ton of clothes than what you see there. But I don't think I did it in the live build while recording. As I say, I went on to go on and finish off a couple of things here and there. This is her office section in the corner here. So can you imagine her sitting in there and looking out onto the ocean? It's beautiful. Initially, when I built it, I thought to myself, oh, I need to put a couple of chairs in front as usual. But she's here alone, isn't she? This is like a really private office, so no one's sitting in front of her. It's not business or anything. She just looks out onto the ocean. But this room here was one of my favorites because it was unusual. There's some new wallpaper in the game and new roofs and new everything. Just things get inserted here and there. But I just had this idea that everything in here will be a lot warmer. The wallpaper gave me the right inspiration, and the blue matches the blue lampshades that I doubled up on, and these chairs and cabinets and wardrobes all have similar tones. And so I began to play around with weeds and outdoor objects, because the house is by the beach. It's by the ocean, and you have to imagine that perhaps when she goes for walks, she might pick up some pebbles or something and then keep them beside her, although it's a glamorous house, but still. So I sort of carried on injecting bits and bobs like florals and shells and plants and flowers, but still the hard edges are very modern. So I have to say this room is my favorite. Never mind the pink flamingo, it had to go in there. It just broke up the color of it, but it's one of my favorite rooms. And then I started playing around with tree stumps that were dried, and I absolutely fell in love with the idea. The only thing is, when you use the tree stumps in the house, and there's going to be another one in this bathroom, but when you use the tree stumps, they disappear. But the branch trees, the ones that are dried up, I think it came from the vampire update, they don't disappear, they stay in place. But any other fluffy, juicy, luscious tree, it just disappears. So I don't know if that's what you want to do. And if you do choose to download the house, then of course you could just put in a real plant and just upsize it, Control Shift C, then you BB move object. And then you click on I think it's the shift key, and then one of the bracket keys that are not the real brackets, the square bracket keys. So the left one makes it bigger, the smaller, if you want to go smaller, then you click on the right square bracket button. whilst at the same time holding down the shift key. Did I make any sense? Have I completely confused you? Anyway, all you have to do is just upsize, a plant and put in that pot. And the funny thing is, the pot that I'm calling pot is not a pot, it's a fountain, but it's brilliant in there and it works. Now, speaking of the series and the episode that we're in, we see what's happened between Agnes and Nubar. Nubar has a poor reputation about him. He has a past that is obvious, that is known in society. Her family were aware about it. But the truth of the matter is, don't you think that he was treated poorly anyway by the Lendy household, her sons and so on? And if you look at it, he made a lot of effort. And since he's been with Agnes, he hasn't done anything to her that is on record that is wrong. And I say on record because I know at the end of the day, he went to his brother and said, take care of the problem. But he didn't say kill the girl, okay? And who is to say that a person that has a poor reputation doesn't get a chance to change? Can't they go on to lead better lives? Everyone's got a past. Agnes, I will have you know, has a past, and we're going to soon know about that. But yeah, I think it's important that we don't judge people on their reputation and what we are aware of. We certainly can approach them with caution, but it's not really smart to jump to conclusions very quickly, because in this case, the family ultimately, treated him poorly on so many levels. And let's just assume, hypothetically speaking, that she sort of reached out to him. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen in the next episode, don't get me wrong. I said hypothetically speaking. Let's assume that she reaches out to him. Should he accept her apology just because she's figured out that he didn't do it? Oh, well, then fine. Can we get back on track? Absolutely not. Because he was thoroughly humiliated in Austria when he came all that way to see her. And it says a lot about how he probably feels about her. He hasn't maltreated her quite in any way. If anything, he's been nothing but kind. As a result, are we going to see a different side to him? Is he going to... do you think he might, assuming she apologizes or sort of warms her way back into his life, do you think that he might then turn a corner and become dark? Live up to her expectation of what she thought he was from the way she treated him, not necessarily because she went out with him, but when the push came to the shove, she automatically assumed that he was wrong. So I'm having a few ideas about that. I really am, about how the next few episodes are going to go, and it's going to be interesting. But let me know what you think in the comments below. We're getting to the point where we see the screenshots, and yeah, as I say, there still will be further changes for the gallery upload. I absolutely love the living room. It's beautiful and colorful and still white. This is the wrap around the kitchen, an angle from within the living room to the entrance and the bathroom. Just another angle in the living space here. And I love this bathroom. It's just so modern, and it's stone. The walls are stone, aren't they? This is the angle for the bathtub, and on the flip side we have the toilet unit. Absolutely love it. I think I'm going to use that structure in a different build, but I love the colors I used in here. I really do. I wish the Sims free play allowed different swatches on different items. It'll make a huge difference to building, well, interior design, really. This is the landing area upstairs where there's a living space to sit and watch TV also. And this room, I still say, is my favorite, although it's a guest room. It's just beautiful. It's very warm. There's a door that leads out from this guest room where we have an area to sit down and enjoy the sunset. This is an angle in the master room. It has different sections. And then we have the dressing room across the corner over here. And there's a close-up of that. It's not the dressing room, it's the dressing section, the closet section. But the bathroom has a great view of the ocean. I think it's beautiful, and it doesn't need any curtains. And still, I was maintaining that ultra-modern feel in the inside of it. I absolutely love this bathroom, and it's large. Her office as well has a great view of the ocean. It's beautiful. And I went on to further enhance the artwork behind the seat. So these are some of the screenshots to the body of the build at different angles. You know, when you have a house by the ocean, you've got like two front sections. You've got the part that faces the ocean, and it's not where your front door is it? And then you have one on the side. So it had to have different angles that had to be interesting, not just one particular front. Well, I want to thank you so much for watching, and do watch the rest of the episodes if you haven't, and I'll see you again soon in the next episode. Bye!